What's up? Today is going to be my video of all of the books I want to read before 2020 ends. It's a long list, I probably won't make it to all of them, but I'm gonna try. I'm scared. Also, this is my mug from Disneyland. If you saw my last video about my Contemporary-a-thon DVR, which is happening right now, we are on Saturday. It is Contemporary-a-thon. You will get a vlog at the end of this week. On Thursday of my reading weekend of how it's going and everything. But I went to Disneyland last weekend and I got this mug, and it's the 50th anniversary for Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides at Disneyland. Pirates is my first favorite show. I also got engaged in Pirates at the Blue Bayou, so maybe I'm biased, but I love Disneyland. So let's get into this video and talk about the books I want to read before 2020 ends. First book that I have been dying for, I need it. Some of these are sequels, some of these are coming out at the beginning of next year actually in their arcs. I have a whole host of different books that I really want to read, but the first one that I want to talk about is Deviate by J. Kristoff. It's the sequel to Lifelike. I read Lifelike last year. So good. It is a villain starting story. It is how the villain becomes the villain. It's so good, but it makes you so angry because this person doesn't start out as a villain, and whoo, my fire in my belly is ready for the sequel. I don't even know what Deviate is about, but I need to read it. I'm so excited. And J. Kristoff, I love his writing. I just finished Dark Dawn. I am in the mood for another J. Kristoff. I need it. I also really want to read Supernova by Marissa Meyer, which is the last book in the Renegade series, which is also one of my favorite books series. This is a superhero story, and you have the Renegades, who are the government now. They are all over the place. They are the police force, they are the government, they are everything. They are the good guys. And then you have the anarchists, who believe that who are also superheroes, but they believe that the superheroes that are within the Renegades are making everyone treat them like gods, and they don't like how they are running everything. They think everyone, including the people who don't have superpowers, should be involved in all of these different things, and they're trying to break down the Renegades' power. And we have one character from the Renegades named, don't remember, and we have one character from the anarchists who's called Nova, and Nova infiltrates the Renegades as a superhero in order to get information, in order to break down their power. That's how the story starts. We're in book 3. I'm so ready for it. Okay, the next book that I really want to read before the end of the year is Black Leopard, Red Wolf. This book came out at the beginning of the year. I think it came out in February. It had a whole lot of hype on BookTube. Honestly, I don't know what it is about. I know it's a fantasy, I think. Actually, I don't even know that for sure, but I know a lot of people really loved this book when it came out. There was a lot of hype for it. It's been on my TBR forever, since the beginning of the year. That's not forever, but that's fine. I want to read it. Next book that I really want to read this year is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. If you've been on BookTube for any amount of time in the last year, you probably have heard about this. This is actually an adult fantasy novel, and it's based on Chinese history, and it, I've heard, has many a trigger warning. It is an intense book. There is lots of trigger warnings for violence and sexual violence and all sorts of violence, and I've heard really phenomenal things about this if you are treading with the knowledge of all of these things that are dealt with in this book. I've heard amazing things. There is a sequel out now. I want to read this so bad. The next book that I have on my list is an arc, and it comes out in January of 2020, but I do have a NetGalley arc of it, so I do want to get to it before January, and it is How to Build a Heart. Honestly, I don't remember much about the synopsis of this, but I always make sure to read the synopses and make sure I'm interested before picking something on NetGalley, because I don't want to take an arc from somebody who would actually want to read it. So I do know I'm interested in this, but off the top of my head I can't remember what it's about. So it has a pretty cover. let's move on. The next book is very beloved. It's a backlist title. It's one of Chelsea's favorite books. It's a lot of people's favorite books here on YouTube, and I haven't read it yet, and it is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I read Alice Oseman's Heartstopper series, the graphic novels, this year, and I really loved them. This has a whole different tone. As far as I'm aware, this is very much more serious. This is about a girl who's obsessed with this fictional world, university, and she agrees to collaborate with the creator, and they work together and everything, but then the creator of Radio Silence is revealed, and she is worried that their friendship is at risk because of that. Tropes of like, oh, they don't know each other, but then they do know each other, and they don't know that they know each other. I think that's what it is. I really want to get to the sequel of Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom. I still haven't read this. I want to finish it. Like, I want to be done with it. I read Leigh Bardugo's Ninth House this month, actually. It's one of the only 2 books I've read this month. Call it a slump. So you'll get to know more about my thoughts on Ninth House later. But Six of Crows, I did enjoy. What I have found with Leigh Bardugo's writing is that I think she's good, like clearly a good writer. I think that I just don't love her storytelling. It's just not my style. And so although I can recognize the good story, I don't personally like the telling of it. And so then it ends up being like a 3-star. I think I gave Six of Crows though 4 stars. It's the only 4-star book I've given Leigh Bardugo, so there's a spoiler for my wrap up for my 2 books that I've read this month. But I do really want to read this. It's a chunker, but the red sprayed edges are gorgeous. Six of Crows is about a heist. You have a bunch of like misfits from the same world as in her other series, Shadow and Bone. They are a bunch of misfits and like miscreants from this world, and they all come together to make this heist to steal from like the big and powerful. And things go awry, as you would imagine. I also really want to read one of the most anticipated books for so many of us here on BookTube, which was Marcus Zusak's sophomore novel, Bridge of Clay. And this is totally different than The Book Thief, but The Book Thief is one of my favorite novels, and so I really want to read this. I was actually gifted this by Katrina, I think for Christmas, so thanks again, Katrina. Love you. I'm nervous. This book is like a kind of like a genealogy or history of a family, and so you follow multiple generations of this one family that gets to the person named Clay, and it's the bridge to him, basically. It sounds really good. It sounds really similar to how the feelings were behind J.K. Rowling. What's that book called? I actually really love that novel, but a lot of people didn't like it because it's something completely different than what she had written before, the Harry Potter series, and it wasn't what anyone expected, and I have a feeling that a lot of people might have felt this way about this one after reading The Book Thief, which is very whimsical almost. This is very real, I think. I'm very interested, and this book gives me similar feelings as The Casual Vacancy, that's what it's called, by J.K. Rowling. It's all about people, and I'm very intrigued by the plot of that. And lastly, another sequel that I want to get to, which is not the last book in this series, but it's the sequel, and it's A Torch Against the Night. This is the sequel to An Ember in the Ashes, which is a book about a girl in a fantasy world, and she gets taken as a slave kind of on purpose so that she can spy on the powerful in like the queendom almost, so that her brother, who is a rebel, can try to take down the power. And there's also a soldier who is high ranked in the powerful who really doesn't like the way that the government is ran, and he wants to also help destroy it or run away. Lots of feelings are happening. I really liked the first one. It wasn't my favorite book of all time by any means, but I'm definitely intrigued to see how the sequel goes. I'm gonna need some like notes on An Ember in the Ashes though. I read it a while ago. The details are blurry. Those are all the books that I really want to read before 2020 begins. I don't think that all of these books will happen, but I hope that all of these books will happen. With that said, What books do you really want to read before 2020 begins, before 2019 ends? What are you most anticipating for January and the rest of 2020? I'm really hoping that we bring back the fashion of the 1920s. Just saying. Let's do it. And the music. But as far as books go, what are you most excited for? I have quite a few arcs that I have that come out in 2020, and I'm probably going to make a Chelsea Darling Reads style NetGalley vlog because I need to get through some of those. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're interested in videos more along the lines of lifestyle and stuff that's not book related from me, then you should go subscribe to my More Sassy Kassie channel. It's linked down below. I make videos there now. I finally posted my first video there, and so you guys should go check that out if you haven't already, and I will see you guys very soon with a new video. I make videos every Thursday and Saturday. I love you all.